Asmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Swapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Darati Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagnat Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagnat Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Board says 10:15 through 10:25. So we'll read those verses together. 10:15. Svayam evatmanatmanam vedadvam purushottama bhuta bhavana bhutesha deva deva jagatpate. Translation. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own potencies, O origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, O Supreme Person, Lord of the universe. Text 16. Vaktum arhasya sheshena divya hyatma vibhutaya yabir vibhutibir lokan imam stvam vapyatishtasi. Translation. Please tell me in detail of your divine powers by which you pervade all these worlds and abide in them. Text 17. Katam vidyam aham yogims tvam sada parichintayan keshu keshu chabhaveshu chinchyosi bhagavan maya. Translation. How should I meditate on you? In what various forms are you to be contemplated, O blessed Lord? Text 18. Vistarenatmano yogam vibhutum cha janardana bhuya kataya triptyehi shinvato nasti me mritam. Translation. Tell me again in detail, O Janardana, Krishna, of your mighty potencies and glories, for I never tire of hearing your ambrosial words. Text 19. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Hantate Kata Yashami Divya Hyatma Vibhutaya Pradanyata Kurushreshta Nashyanto Vistarasya Me. Translation. The Blessed Lord said, yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are most prominent, O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless. Text 20. Aham atma gudakesha sarva bhutashaya stitaha aham adishcha madhyam cha bhutanam anta evacha. Translation. I am the Self, O Gudakesh, seated in the hearts of all creatures. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. Text 21. Adityanam aham Vishnur Jyotisham Ravir Amshuman Marichir Marutam Asmi Nakshatranam aham Shashi. Translation. Of the Adityas I am Vishnu, of lights I am the radiant sun, I am Marichi of the Maruts, and among the stars I am the moon. Text 22. Vedanam samavedosmi devanam asmi vasavaha indriyanam manashchasmi Bhutanam asmi Chaitana. Translation of the Vedas, I am the Sama Veda. Of the demigods, I am Indra. Of the senses, I am the mind. And in living beings, I am the living force, knowledge. Text 23. Rudranam Shankaraschasmi Vitesho Yaksharakshasam Vasunam Pavakaschasmi Meru Shikharinam Aham. Translation of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of Wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vasus, I am Fire, Agni. And of the mountains, I am Meru. Text 24. Purudasam cha mukyam mam vidhi partha brihaspatim senaninam aham skanda sarasam asmi sagaraha. Translation of priests, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief, Brihaspati, the lord of devotion. Of generals, I am Skanda, the lord of war, and of bodies of water, I am the ocean. Final text of the evening, text 25. Maharshi nam brigur aham giram asmekam aksharam yagyanam japa yagnosmi stavaranam himalaya. Translation of the great sages, I am Brigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names, Japa. And of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. Back to text 15. I'll read the translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Translation. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own potencies, O origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, O Supreme Person, Lord of the universe. Purport. The Supreme Lord Krishna can be known by persons who are in a relationship with him through the discharge of devotional service, like Arjuna and his successors. Persons of demonic or atheistic mentality cannot know Krishna. Mental speculation that leads one away from the Supreme Lord is a serious sin, and one who does not know Krishna should not try to comment on Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the statement of Krishna, and since it is the science of Krishna, it should be understood from Krishna as Arjuna understood it. It should not be received from atheistic persons. The supreme truth is realized in three aspects as impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and at last as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So at the last stage of understanding the absolute truth, one comes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A liberated man, and even a common man, may realize impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma, yet they may not understand God's personality from the verses of Bhagavad Gita which are being spoken by this person, Krishna. Sometimes the impersonalists accept Krishna as Bhagavan, or they accept his authority. Yet many liberated persons cannot understand Krishna as Purushottama, the Supreme Person, the Father of all living entities. Therefore, Arjuna addresses him as Purushottama. And if one comes to know him as the Father of all the living entities, still one may not know him as the Supreme Controller. Therefore, he is addressed here as Bhutesha, the Supreme Controller of everyone. And even if one knows Krishna as the Supreme Controller of all living entities, still one may not know that he is the origin of all the demigods. Therefore, he is addressed herein as Devadeva, the worshipful God of all demigods. And even if one knows him as the worshipful God of all demigods, one may not know that he is the supreme proprietor of everything. Therefore, he is addressed as Jagatpati. Thus, the truth about Krishna is established in this verse by the realization of Arjuna, and we should follow in the footsteps of Arjuna to understand Krishna as he is. Maharaj, if you have any comments on this, on these verses?
Very nice that Krishna, or Arjuna, is referring to Krishna so many ways. Krishna has direct relationships with only devotees. Non-devotees cannot have a direct relationship with Krishna. They may be involved in some indirect relationship with Krishna, but not direct. Therefore, we follow in the footsteps of Arjuna.
Jai. So if we simply follow in the footsteps of Arjuna, if we follow in the footsteps of someone intimately connected to Krishna, all success will be ours, and we will understand things, and Krishna gives us this knowledge, and we sometimes think that I'm seeing what I want to see, or let me look upon this. But actually, Krishna is everything we see or everything that we know. It's because Krishna is allowing us to see it, or Krishna is allowing us to know it. We wouldn't have any knowledge at all if Krishna so chose. And people are thinking, I'm going to go see this, I'm seeing this, and they don't always say, the Lord, with the Lord's blessing, I will go see this, or if the Lord allows me, I will see this, because nothing is happening without being ordained by Lord Sri Krishna. So everything we see, everything we know, any sort of knowledge that we pick up, is Krishna's grace, and it's Guru's grace and kindness upon us. Because sometimes a teacher knows how to teach almost any student, and some students are not always the best students, but a great teacher is very merciful even upon the lowest student, and so that's a great aspect of a great teacher, that they like Krishna loves every living entity, and is giving every entity a chance to elevate and get closer to him. But we want to try to be good students, but even if we're not the best student, we should, especially if we're not the best student, we should be extra thankful and full of gratitude for anything that we're picking up, anything that we know, anything that if the teacher's spending any time with us, we're the lucky ones. Obviously, we're the lucky ones to get to spend time with the teacher. And by spending time with Prabhupada's books, you are spending time with the teacher, greatest of teachers. And so we can listen to all the audio recordings and read all the books and see all the wonderful video, and we can absorb ourselves in the personality of someone like Srila Prabhupada, who had such a beaming smile and such a wit and a care for everybody, and such just knowledge and intuition on how to do seemingly everything. Where does that come from? That amazing intuition, that amazing care for the living entity. He would tell you it comes from the Guru Parampara. It comes from Krishna and the teachers underneath Krishna, Brahma, Madhva, and Bhaktisiddhanta, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Lord Sri Chaitanya, and everything we see in Prabhupada, we're seeing his teachers too, and everything we're seeing the direct result of the parampara acting on such a brilliant person. And it just goes to show with an intellect and the proper spiritual training, someone can actually, like Prabhupada, there's no one like him, of course, but he set up 108 temples in just a little over 10 years, and just worked and translated and dealt with hundreds of issues with all the devotees and all the media outlets, and I mean, it's a tremendous amount of juggling. You think about the stress that he put himself under and the weight on his shoulders, and you never saw him lose it. You never saw him complain. It's just an amazing example. And someone like him, he's very concerned with being a great Vaishnav, is very concerned about the example they set, and they actually are so concerned. Almost to some of us, it looks like they're almost too concerned with not offending anybody, and so careful. But that's just part of who they are. They're just naturally thinking about every little detail. Every little detail. So amazing. There's certain, I'm going to go on to look at this verse a little more, text 15 purport. The Supreme Lord Krishna can be known by persons who are in a relationship with him through the discharge of devotional service, like Arjuna and his successors. So people are saying, where is God? Why doesn't he appear in front of me? He's only going to make himself known when he chooses, and he can only be known by persons who are in a relationship with him through the discharge of devotional service. It's the only way. So devotional service is so powerful, it opens up the door to the door of Lord Sri Krishna himself. And then and only then can you knock on that door through devotional service. Persons of demonic or atheistic mentality cannot know Krishna. So they may think they know Krishna. Shishupal he was demonizing Krishna from birth almost, and seems to be hell bent on his on frustration with Krishna, but yet he doesn't know Krishna. He doesn't know him in a way that a devotee knows Krishna. A demon cannot know Krishna. They can be angry at Krishna forever, but they don't even know him. They don't know the first thing about him, really. And mental and Bhagavad Gita is the statement of Krishna, and since it is the science of Krishna, it should be understood from Krishna as Arjuna understood it. It should not be received from atheistic persons. So we want to understand from Arjuna's perspective. We are supposed to kind of put ourselves in Arjuna's perspective a little bit. He's asking questions for our benefit. Arjuna's asking these questions for our benefit. And so we can thank him as a great teacher as well. Sometimes a great student becomes a great teacher, and Arjuna, you could say that as well. He's a great teacher. And the supreme truth is realized in three aspects: as impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and at last the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this last stage is a little harder, and because most people don't even understand the localized Paramatma, they may understand impersonal Brahman, like God is love and things like this, but knowing confidently that God is in my heart, how many people out there can say that? We have to know that to get to the third stage. So we have to know that I'm not the body, and that my soul is in my heart, and then Paramatma is right next to the soul. So everyone's got God in the heart, and Srila Prabhupada knew how to see that. He's seeing Krishna in everybody. He's seeing God in everybody. That's why in India, when they would collect some money in the hundi, when they early one of the first times they all went to India, and what did he do at the end of the day? He took that money and he went out and distributed it to some people, to some very, very poor people. And the devotee said, "Why didn't you say we should give them the word of Krishna?" And he said, "Well, for these people, that is the word they need. This is the word they need," in that way. And so he was always feeling compassion for so many souls. This was at a Kumbh Mela where he did that. And So we have to know that Krishna is in our heart. Krishna is in that person across the street that you're seeing. That person, Krishna's in their heart. He's in the bird. He's in the bug. He's in the blade of grass. So of course we are lower than a blade of grass because Krishna is in that blade of grass. So yeah, I'm lower than anywhere that Krishna resides. A liberated man and even a common man may realize they may not understand God's personality from the verses of Gita, which are being spoken by this person. They may miss the whole personality of God. They may miss that. And he goes on, it's a beautiful purport. It goes on to say, supreme proprietor of everything, therefore he is addressed as Jagatpati. And I love that word, some of these words here, and I was going to look at how Srila Prabhupada defines one of these words in different ways. So 1 second. So this site shows like all the different ways he defined different words. So this word, almost there. Okay. So some of these words have been defined as Purushottama, O greatest of all persons. Bhuta Bhavana, O origin of everything. Bhutesha, O Lord of everything. Deva Deva, O Lord of all demigods. Jagatpate, O Lord of the entire universe. Greatest of all persons. Origin of everything. Lord of everything. Lord of all demigods. Lord of the entire universe. Only Krishna fits these descriptions. Only Krishna is all these things. Text 16. Please tell me in detail of your divine powers by which you pervade all these worlds and abide in them. Purport. In this verse, it appears that Arjuna is already satisfied with his understanding of the Supreme Lord Krishna. By Krishna's grace, Arjuna has personal experience, intelligence, and knowledge, and whatever else a person may have through all these agencies, and he has understood Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For him there is no doubt, yet he is asking Krishna to explain his all-pervading nature so that in the future people will understand, especially the impersonalists, how he exists in his all-pervading aspect through his different energies. One should know that this is being asked by Arjuna on behalf of the common people. And especially the impersonalists. So if an impersonalist reads Srila Prabhupada's Gita, they become no longer impersonalist. It's the recipe to de-impersonalize the whole world. If everyone just could just read Prabhupada's Gita, that you will get to know Krishna. You will understand Krishna as a person, and you just have to. They have to read, and it can be different ways. You can also put on the audio and just like if you're on a train or something, just put on the audio and hear it and let some other people hear it too. But if they can hear some of these things, it's always fun to see people's reaction when they hear the mantra for the first time. You know, you can tell it has like this potency. It kind of they don't push it away. They almost automatically accept it when they hear the mantra. There's something, it's like aha moment. They may kind of not show it so much externally, but you can tell how it resonates with people on this powerful level. And where did Srila Prabhupada really want to preach the most? Because his Gurudev asked him to. He wanted to preach in America. So Srila Prabhupada really wants us to preach in America. If we're in America, we have a chance to really preach in a way that would make Prabhupada very pleased. Because he said that if you get America, if you can really get a big footprint in America, you get the whole world, because whatever America does in a big way, the whole world, whether they want to or not, kind of follows along. So we're in America. We're in the actually heart of America. If you get the heart, you also get the whole entity. And so if we can preach to America, and I feel like we have a window of opportunity, just like anyone has a window of opportunity, Of course, someone can take to Krishna consciousness at any age. I was a little older. I was older than most. And the power of the Vaishnavas and Srila Prabhupada really overtook me. But generally speaking, people have a window, from age 18 to 35. If you don't get Srila Prabhupada's, if you don't really start to understand things in these ages, then it becomes harder. Of course, we see people 80 years old and come in and ask for initiation and so many things. But really, we have a window. And so when you have a window, you have to strike while the iron is hot. And so it's amazing that we made it here, because the window is so small. When you think about it, we got pretty lucky, because there's like a 15-year window where if you get a little taste, then there's a chance for you. And so we all got a chance. And it was undeniably, the philosophy is just so undeniably sound, and everything about the movement is so sound. The way Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya built it, it's so sound that we were naturally attracted. But there's a certain ages. And also with America, it's like there's a chance maybe we have 10 or 15 years to really make a big push. Shri Shri Gauranatai Ki Jai. So, 10 years from now is like 2034, so like 10, 15 years to make a really big push for Srila Prabhupada. And because he wanted the whole world, he wanted America, he wanted Kirtan to be going on every day in every town in the world. And I know it will. And it has. Srila Prabhupada did so much of the groundwork. We just have to show up. We basically have to show up and have an urgency to serve Srila Prabhupada. So we don't want to put the whole weight of the world on our shoulders, because that's a little too much. But Srila Prabhupada did have the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he handled it very gracefully. And so Srila Prabhupada and Guru are trying to show us what we're capable of. A lot of times a student doesn't know what they're actually capable of. So Srila Prabhupada is telling us, you are capable of more than you can imagine. So you just have to give it a chance and let Krishna do the worry about the results. We just have to do the acting, and then we just let Krishna take care of the results, and things can act and things can get figured out the way Krishna wants them to be acted, wants things to go. But we just have to kind of have a routine where we feel like we're doing as much as we can. Because if we just do as much as we can, like whenever we feel like it, then as we know, it's not very regimented. There's something about, if you're marching, there's something about that step, and with a metronomic step. You just keep stepping and stepping, and just be regulated. Have a system that you feel like no matter what everyone is, no matter how many services we have and everything, you also have to. We also have to push the movement in our own way at sometimes, in small and big ways, and so as long as you feel good that you feel like you're doing pretty much everything that you can and want to do for Srila Prabhupada. And if you don't feel that way, then do something extra if you can. And you may feel like you don't have enough time, but with proper scheduling and proper day timers and calendars, it's amazing what you can get done when you have a day timer and when you schedule every hour of your day is scheduled. It's not like, we just have to get to that point where if we have a break, we go to this thing, and so a little bit of outreach every day is really important. Book distribution, and also maybe a little bit of internet or social media outreach, trying to bring someone to the temple and try to get a book to someone. Try to help someone understand. There's people saying, I'm having a hard time. My day was really bad today. That's a good time to, that's Krishna saying, maybe you could get in, maybe you could send them a private message, and maybe you can help them. So look for these opportunities. If you see something that looks like maybe it's an opportunity, it's an opportunity. And just learn how to act at that moment where you think, this might be an opportunity. That's when you don't question yourself, you just go for it. You go for the opportunity to serve Srila Prabhupada. Text 17. How should I meditate on you? In what various forms are you to be contemplated, O blessed Lord? Purport. As it is stated in the previous chapter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is covered by his Yoga Maya. Only surrendered souls and devotees can see him. Now Arjuna is convinced that his friend Krishna is the Supreme Godhead, but he wants to know the general process by which the all-pervading Lord can be understood by the common man. No common man, including the demons and atheists, can know Krishna because he is guarded by his Yoga Maya energy. Again, these questions are asked by Arjuna for their benefit. The superior devotee is not only concerned for his own understanding, but for the understanding of all mankind. Out of his mercy, because he is a Vaishnava, a devotee, Arjuna is opening the understanding for the common man as far as the all-pervasiveness of the Supreme is concerned. He addresses Krishna specifically as Yogin, because Sri Krishna is the master of the Yoga Maya energy, by which he is covered and uncovered to the common man. The common man who has no love for Krishna cannot always think of Krishna. Therefore, he has to think materially. Arjuna is considering the mode of thinking of the materialistic persons of this world. Because materialists cannot understand Krishna spiritually, they are advised to concentrate the mind on physical things and try to see how Krishna is manifested by physical representations. Janma karma chame devyam evam yoveti tatvataha chakvadeham punarjanma niti mameti so Arjuna. Just one who knows my transcendental nature, my appearance and activities, does not take birth in this material world again, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So someone has to know his activities and appearance. Srila Prabhupada brought the appearance and the activities to the West because we didn't know anything about what Krishna looked like or his activities at all. And there was no pictures or anything of Krishna here, and so he brought that understanding. And then so they just don't know what to visualize. It's like asking someone to visualize something impossible. It's like, well, how do I? It's hard. If you don't know what to visualize, it's very hard to visualize, and there's going to be a lot of wasted time. So knowing what Krishna looks like, that can be just having Krishna on a shirt, on a devotional shirt, and going out into a crowded area, and then they're seeing Krishna. So whether people want to or not, they need to and want to deep down see and understand Krishna. So we're going to try to help them, and we're going to try to help each other and ourselves. And he says that it's not just about the superior devotee is not only concerned for his own understanding, but for the understanding of all mankind. This is a tough one sometimes, because sometimes we feel like I'm just trying to make sure that I'm stable. I'm just trying to make sure that my Krishna consciousness is sound. That is very important. We have to make sure that we're at a place where our Krishna consciousness is sound, that we won't fall down, and that we feel stable, and that we're elevating. But it could be a trap that we always think like that I'm just going to work on myself. I can't focus on everything else. That's a little too chaotic. Let me just focus on myself. I think we naturally think like that sometimes. But Srila Prabhupada says the superior devotee is not only concerned for that, his own understanding and stability, but for understanding of all mankind. So it's not just about getting a little more knowledge. Let me understand more and more and more and more. But what if we already have enough? What if we already have enough understanding to help the living entities, that we don't necessarily always need We may not need, so much in depth, going more and more in depth until you can't go more in depth. That is very nice, to understand more and more about Krishna consciousness. It's a beautiful thing, but let's give out what we already have. Let's share our realizations. One time I said to Maharaj that sometimes I have a realization that's kind of hard to put into words. I can't even describe it, but I know, like, deep down I know this. And he said, no, if it's a realization, you should be able to explain it to someone. You should be able to impart that. That's kind of the definition of a realization, is that it's not just an internal thing I can't describe. It's like I can describe it to someone. I can share that with another person. Text 18. Tell me again in detail, O Janardana, Krishna, of your mighty potencies and glories, for I never tire of hearing your ambrosial words. Purport. A similar statement was made to Sutta Goswami by the rishis of Naimisharanya, headed by Shonika. That statement is, Vayam tuna vitrapyama uttama shloka vikrame yachtrinvatam rasa gyanam svadu pade pade. Quote, one who can never be satiated, even though one continuously hears the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, who is glorified by Vedic hymns. Those who have entered into a transcendental relationship with Krishna relish in every step descriptions of the pastimes of the Lord. Thus Arjuna is interested to hear about Krishna, specifically how he remains as the all-pervading Supreme Lord. Now, as far as Amritam, nectar, is concerned, any narration or statement concerning Krishna is just like nectar. And this nectar can be perceived by practical experience. Modern stories, fiction, and histories are different from the transcendental pastimes of the Lord in that one will tire of hearing mundane stories, but one never tires of hearing about Krishna. It is for this reason only that the history of the whole universe is replete with references to the pastimes of the incarnations of Godhead. For instance, the Puranas are histories of bygone ages that relate the pastimes of the various incarnations of the Lord. In this way, the reading matter remains forever fresh despite repeated readings. Some things become so stale so quickly, like a song that we learned when we were a kid, Someone would start to sing the song like, 99 bottles of Coke on the wall, 99 bottles of Coke. Take one down, pass it around, 98 bottles of Coke on the wall, and you're supposed to keep going down until you get to one. And most people never make it through that song because it's so tiresome. It's just mundane and tiresome. But kirtan is so fresh, and even swamis will say that I realized today that I just don't ever tire of hearing this pastime, or that I found something new in this other pastime. And when you're hearing pastimes that you've heard before, you can listen from different perspectives. It's not just listening to learn. Sometimes it's listening to teach. Like how did Srila Prabhupada teach the material? How did he present it? And why is it being presented like this? And we can look at things from slightly different angles, and we can hear details that we may not have picked up the first times that we have heard or read something. There's just certain things, we get attracted. So many entities are attracted to the material energy or aspects of the material energy. And I was thinking that there's certain things that the material side of ourselves, there's certain things that we may think sometimes that we want, but really deep down we don't really want those things. So it's like the mind tricking us. So these material things that pop up, just ask yourself, do I really want it, or is it the fantasy that I'm hanging on to? Because so many times the reality is pretty different than the fantasy. It doesn't go exactly how you fantasized it would. And so deep down, we don't really want these things. And there's actually a lot of things that we don't like about those things. And maybe the old part of us, used to take some enjoyment in these things, but those tastes have changed. Our tastes have developed, and we've gotten a higher taste. So yes, these things will pop up, but we can just remember that deep down we don't really want them, and it's the fantasy is not reality. It's just the fantasy that we're a little attached to sometimes. It's like my little, our little fantasies that are our little precious baubles, our little precious toys, and an adult has to give up those children's toys. An adult has to go to Goodwill, and you can either throw away these children's toys, you can go to Goodwill, you donate. Sorry, I've just been thinking about donating a lot lately too. It feels really good to kind of whittle down, and we end up collecting things in this material world. And so every month I'm trying to just, if there's something that's in my space that I'm not using, if I'm not going to wear it or use it in the next month or year, then do I really need to have it around? Do I really need to see it? And I don't have to throw it away, but I can donate it. We have a Goodwill pretty close, and so you just simply drive up and they take pretty much whatever you give them. And so you can donate things, and we can kind of clear the clutter of our mind and our heart that way by clearing a little bit of our physical space. And this temple room wouldn't feel the same, would it, if it was cluttered with baubles and trinkets, and it's part of the beauty is it's Krishna's space, and it's so clean. There's so much room. There's so much space, and it's and recently we were on Harinam, and I was watching someone. You watch someone come out of a store with a new something that they bought, and that's about as good as it gets for the material world. Is you go into a store without this object, and then you walk out, and then you get this object, and you can see kind of happy, and I'm going to go put this furniture. I know exactly where this furniture is going to go. I'm going to put it right there on top of the fancy table, and that's about all the happiness they really get. And I was noticing that, and also I was noticing how people naturally look different. You see people change once you see someone after a week of not seeing them, or a month or a year. You see all the changes take place in their body. It's like, oh, this person has changed. I can see the changes, and isn't that kind of nice? Because it would be, kind of boring if everyone always looked the same. So that change is interesting to see. And people are growing. You can see people getting older, but are they getting Krishna consciousness? Since last time you saw them, did they get anything that wasn't mundane? You're hoping that as they age and you see these changes, you hope that there's some changes in the heart too. You hope that there's some changes in the consciousness, because if the body is changing but the heart isn't changing, it's actually really sad. You're seeing someone just get older, and you're seeing the body break down, but they're not getting anything out of the deal. They're supposed to get something out of the deal. They should get some spiritual upliftment, or else it's just mundane, mundane bodies, and being born and growing and producing some byproducts and dwindling and eventually leaving, and that's all it is. And then they're simply mating and defending and eating and sleeping. So it's really tragic. There's a lot of tragedies going on all around us, and so we're trying to help people. Help people's lives not just be a tragedy, be a victory. Make your life into a victory, not a tragedy. Are we supposed to just serve ourselves? Are we supposed to just go to try every restaurant in town? You can't do it. There's too many restaurants. I remember, I made a deal with myself at one point, like, hey, if I'm going to, drive this far to go, I was teaching guitar, if I'm going to drive 30 minutes there and back, and if I'm going to make some money, then I'm going to allow myself to have, whatever kind of fast food pops into my mind. That was kind of a sad deal that I made with myself. But these are the kinds of things people are thinking, I'm going to allow myself, I'm I deserve to be served at the restaurant. I want to try. Oh, someone recommended the new restaurant. Let me go try it. In fact, it becomes annoying until you go try it. Sometimes it becomes kind of annoying. So people are recommending these things to each other, and they're recommending everything except for spirituality most of the time. And bhakti yoga, Prabhupada's saying bhakti yoga is the way that you can understand Krishna. That's the way that you can knock on that door. It's only through bhakti yoga. All the different sciences, all the other spiritualities, they can come and they can come underneath this umbrella because they ultimately need to. It's very rare. And then I was also thinking, if we have to choose between either everything is beautiful or everything is ugly, I would rather choose everything is beautiful, because if we focus on seeing the faults in everything and then the imperfections, then that's all we'll see, and we've all heard people or been around people like that, and it's kind of contagious, when you were hanging out with an old friend 10 years ago or whatever, and they complain, and then all of a sudden, what are you going to do? You're going to complain. You're going to join the crowd. You're going to say, yeah, I agree with that, and here's another thing that I want to complain about. And it becomes this way. It's putting ourselves in the center a little bit sometimes when people are just complaining, and they may be noticing things. They may be, Super Soul may be showing them things, but they don't realize they're not thanking Super Soul for showing them. And of course, we've got book like Bright Side by Maharaj Dhanavir Goswami that shows us how to see things on the bright side, and how much we can benefit from seeing things on the bright side, and not seeing the bad in everything. And we have to learn how to see the beauty in things, and we have to kind of train ourselves how to do that. And of course, all this beauty, it's all coming from Krishna. It's all his opulence. We're seeing everything we're seeing, even thievery, you may see thievery, and in the material world, it's bad, but Krishna knows how to spiritualize thievery. He steals the butter from Mother Yashoda. So everything is coming from him. We just have to spiritualize it. It just has to be done for Krishna, and we have to try to know him. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Bhagavad Gita as it is, Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.